Hi guys. All right, so today is the 4th. We had early release. We're going to have tutorials at 3:15 today. And in math, we classified triangles. This all comes from page 456. And so we took some notes from that page. And get there. All right, so if you look in your book, at the top you've got the 3 triangles here, and then we did this activity at the bottom where we looked at some of those angles, and we were practicing how we name those. So we'll go back to that. Let's look at this part right here. So we have some angles that we talked about yesterday. So we talked about acute angles, right angles, and obtuse angles. And today we were finding those angles in triangles. So here is an acute triangle. An acute triangle has 3 acute angles. Acute meaning they are all less than 90. So each one of these, you've got this endpoint, and you've got these 2 line segments coming together, and they've got this shared endpoint. This right here forms that angle. Okay, so there's 3 angles, and they are all acute. For a right triangle, you have 1 right angle. So remember yesterday when we talked about every time we see this square, that right there shows that this is a 90-degree angle. And so a right triangle has 1 right and 2 acute angles. So the other 2 are less than 90. They are acute. The obtuse triangle, this big angle, this big opening right here, this is an obtuse angle, and it also has 2 acute angles. Okay. Then in the book, we took that information and we looked at some of these here. So for the right angles, we saw those right away because we saw that square right there. And when you have that square, that shows that it's 90 degrees. And so when we go to name them, you put the little triangle to show that you're talking about a triangle. And you just start on one side and you just go around. So you could name this several different things. You could say PQR, RQP, QPR. So as long as whatever you start with, you move in a direction and then you go down, you just go straight down the line. So this would be A, B, C. This could be F, E, D. This could be I, G, H. So you're just following the line, okay? So ones that were, we said this one right here was an acute triangle because all the angles were less than 90. So we named it triangle STR. This one here had that obtuse, that big angle, that big opening. So this was triangle WXV. And this line, if you look right here, so you've got this bottom line, and if we put another line going straight up, that shows where 90 degrees would be. So if this is going past that, then I know that this angle right here is an obtuse angle. Okay, so we named those, and then we went to Seesaw. And in Seesaw, we went down to week 22 math. All right, so we went to this page here. So let me move all these over. All right, so well, I guess I didn't need to move those. We've got acute, obtuse, and right. All right, so let's look at the triangles first. So if I make this bigger here, you can see that we've got this angle A is 40 degrees, angle C is 65, and B is 75. So because all of these are less than 90, all three of these angles are acute. So if all three are acute, then that's going to go under here as an acute triangle. This one right here, we see angle A is 30, angle C is the 40 degrees, and we have angle B is 110. Well, 110 is an obtuse angle, so that means that this is an obtuse triangle. This one here has 60 degrees, 30 degrees, and 90 degrees. So I see that the 90 there shows that that is a right. So that is a right triangle. So if it has all acute, you're an acute angle. If it has one obtuse, you're an obtuse triangle. If it has one right, you're a right triangle. So an easy way to remember this is every single one, they all have at least two acute angles. Okay, so two acute, two acute, two acute. They all have two acute angles, meaning they all have two angles that are less than 90. Then you just match the names. So right triangle goes with one additional right angle. Acute has that third acute angle. And obtuse triangle has that additional right here, that obtuse angle. Okay, so two acutes for each of them. And then you just match the name, right and right, acute and acute, obtuse, obtuse. Ready? So draft that. And then for reading today, we went and make sure you check the small group activities. So I met with groups B and C. Group A needed to do each one of these. There's an ed puzzle. And so the ed puzzle links are on here when you go to classwork. So there's one for group A, and then there's one for group B and C. So make sure you do those. And then for reading today, we read Two Bear Cubs, and we were talking about the elements of drama within the text. So that is in Seesaw as well. And so group 22. All right, so we've been talking about dramas this week, and we've really been talking about the elements that are within the dramas, and let's see, things that are specific. So some of the things carry over, like if I'm reading a fiction story, I'm going to have dialogue, I'm going to have characters, I'm going to have a setting, I'm going to have, problem and solution and things like that. But some of these are specific just to dramas. So today we looked at this story called Two Bear Cubs, and together we read scene 1. And we talked about, first we talked about the scene. So here we've got the characters, and then we talked about the scenes, and we said, okay, here's scene 1, here's scene 2, and there's a scene 3. And the scenes are really just a way to, it's just these small little parts of the play. Okay, so this is, if you look, it has a setting right here. So in that scene, this is the setting. This is one setting. When they go to scene 2, they might, the setting might change. And so it's just little small sections of the big play. So little broken, like little pieces of it that make up the whole play. Then this one had a lot of stage direction. So if you zoom in right here, everything in bold tells you a stage direction. So when older brother goes to speak, he doesn't say this part right here. This part right here is just the state, like just the directions for the actor. So he's laughing and he's splashing and he says, "Don't be afraid of a little water, younger brother." And then younger brother, again, he doesn't say this. This is what he does. He splashes back and he says, "I'm not older brother." And so those right there are the stage directions. And again, they're just telling the reader, or not the reader, they're telling the actors what to do. And when you're reading it, they're giving you information that's really helping you kind of paint the picture of this story. Okay, so like when he goes to eat the berries and he picks them up and he starts eating them greedily, well, that's a certain way that he's eating them. He's not just like, being all like, oh, one grape at a time. Like he's stuffing them in his mouth like he doesn't want to share. And he's, he says they taste so sweet, taste them. Like he's all, excited about these berries. And so that kind of helps paint a picture in my head about, what's actually happening. And so, that helps with comprehension. So we read that, and then students finished reading scene 2 and scene 3, and then they put those elements of drama in sequential order. So first, what happened in the story, second, third, fourth, what happened last. And then make sure you read this all the way through, because tomorrow we have a quizzes where we're going to check our understanding of that. So make sure you do that. And then, where am I looking for? Right here, giraffe. Alrighty, then for groups, let's see. All right, so sequence of events, independent reading, eSpark. We read The Wild Robot. Then each group, we worked with some writing skills that were connected with our book. So make sure you get those pages done, and your reading should be getting close to being finished. And then for writing today, we went to activities. All right, so we continued looking at Oh Brother, and today we looked at the Thursday question down here at the bottom. And it says, what change, if any, should be made to sentence 17? So we came over here, and first things first, it tells us what sentence to go to. So we went to that sentence 17, we highlight it, and then you read it. Since he has a license to drive a car, comma, he can drive me to my best friend's house from time to time. So the first one was a homophone, sense and sense. And we know when we're talking about the sense with a C, this one is talking about the money. So that's not the one we need. So that was not correct. B, it says delete the comma. But I know that when we talked about awubis, the awubis words, that S stood for the word sense. And when we have those awubis words at the beginning of a sentence, that signals to the reader that there is going to be a comma coming up. So I need that comma. So I'm going to take out B. In C, it says change friends to friends with an apostrophe. And if you go find friends, and if you look at the word next to it, it says friend's house. Well, when we add that apostrophe, when we add that apostrophe, it shows ownership. So the house belongs to the friend. So we said that was our answer there. So friend's house, the house belongs to the friend. All right, then we came down here. Today we worked on the conclusion. So I took off that conclusion, I dragged it, I put it here. And we talked about these things. We already saw this. All right, so we talked about this checklist here. So the first thing in the checklist is you want to make sure you have that transitional phrase. So I have, as you can see, comma. Next up, you're going to tell the reader how you feel. The sparkle muffin spider is definitely an interesting animal, period. Okay, so transition, comma. This ties back into my feelings about the animal and ties this word interesting, ties back to the whole thing that I'm writing about. I'm writing about an interesting animal. Then you've got repeats the main idea. Ooh, I'm getting carried away with these little tools here. All right, so you repeat the main idea. So when you go back up and you look here, those main three things. So I talked about the colors, I talked about it being a predator, and I talked about its name. So I'm going to sum up those three things. So I have right here the colors, comma, ability to jump and see far distances, comma, and its unusual name make it stand out from all others. Okay, so I'm just summing up those main points. And then this last part, ending with a hope and wish, right here. I hope you get a chance to see a picture or a video of these spiders someday. They really are quite interesting to watch and learn about. So I am leaving them with, a hope or something that I wish for them. It could be, something for them to think about. Just a good, kind of way to end what you're talking about there. All right, so I hope you get a chance to see this, interesting animal that I've told you all about. All right, so we worked on conclusion today, and tomorrow we should be set to put everything together. Today we also did some peer editing and revising to where we went and shared stories and, had a second or third pair of eyes to look things over and make some suggestions. And that was that. So we'll finish that up tomorrow. And then we had library today, so we just watched this link right here. It says, why do we only see one side of the moon? So you can click that and watch that and see why, what the reason is. And then before we went to library, we went ahead and snuck in some social studies. So this talks about Molly Bailey, and she was a spy. And so these are just some facts about her life that you can read about. She also was into the circus. She ran a circus after her spy life that she lived. She went and ran a circus, had more than 200 animals, loved red hair. Her husband had red hair. She had 9 children, tomboy, daredevil, kind of an interesting life here. She died in 1918 in Houston. And so when you read about her, you go to your Monday through Friday and you do the Thursday part. You can read a little bit more about her and kind of how she was a spy and kind of, at that time, people didn't really expect, this lady to be working for, the enemy and to be, she's out selling cookies and she's, while she's selling these cookies, she's listening and getting information, and then she would take it back and share that. So you can read all about that with her. And then we went to library, and oh my goodness, we keep running out of time with these early dismissal. So I'm going to move this. Sorry, Fun Freddy's getting pushed down a bit. We're going to move that there. All right, so we didn't get to these since it was early dismissal, but no problem. We'll catch up. And that was that. So everybody had PE today. So make sure if you have any PE assignments that you go and do that. And I'm not sure if she uploaded something on library, but you could go check your Seesaw library and see if there was anything on there that you might have missed. And tomorrow is turn-in day, so make sure everything Monday through Thursday is all caught up. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.